I used to treat my life like it was in between something. Not bad exactly, just unfinished. Like the real version of it would begin later, after someone finally arrived and stayed long enough to make everything feel more settled. I don't think I say that out loud very often, but it lived quietly underneath a lot of things. Under the way I answered questions at family gatherings, under the way I compared timelines with friends, under the strange guilt I felt buying furniture for my apartment, like I was decorating a temporary version of my life instead of my actual one. A few months ago, I was standing alone in the grocery store, trying to decide whether buying a full loaf of bread even made sense for one person. I remember holding it in my hands longer than necessary. Around me, people moved in pairs, small conversations, shared chats. Someone arguing softly about cereal. A child asking for chocolate near the checkout line. And suddenly, I felt very visible in my aloneness. Not devastated, just aware. I bought the bread anyway. That night, I ate dinner standing in my kitchen because I was too tired to clear off the table completely. The apartment was quiet except for the sound of rain outside and the occasional vibration from my phone. Group chats mostly. A friend sending engagement photos. Someone joking about being next. I reacted with hearts and smiling emojis and genuine happiness. I really was happy for them. But afterwards, I leaned against the kitchen counter and felt this strange heaviness settle over me. Not jealousy exactly, more like the feeling of watching everyone slowly arrive somewhere while you remain difficult to place. I think that's part of what singleness can feel like sometimes. Not loneliness all the time, just invisibility. Like people stopped knowing how to imagine your life unless it's eventually leading towards someone else. At family gatherings, people asked questions, softly at first, then repeatedly. Are you seeing someone? Nothing serious yet. You're still young. That last one always lands strangely because it sounds comforting on the surface, but underneath it is this quiet assumption that singleness only makes sense if it's temporary. Like no one really knows what to do with a person who isn't actively moving towards partnership. A few weeks ago, my cousin got married. I visited my aunt for lunch. The house smelled like stew and fried plantain. The television played quietly in the background while everyone talked over each other in familiar rhythm. At some point, one of my older relatives touched my arms gently and asked if there was someone special. I smiled automatically, said, "Not right now." She nodded with this careful sympathy I didn't ask for. Then she said something about how love comes when you least expect it. And I know she meant well, but suddenly I felt tired in a way I couldn't explain because I realized how often singleness gets spoken about like a temporary inconvenience, a waiting room, a pause before real life begins. On my drive home, traffic barely moved. I sat there watching people across the street in the fading evening light while my phone rested untouched in the passenger seat. And for a moment, I tried imagining what it would feel like to stop treating my life like preparation. The thought felt unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable, like stepping into a room you technically belong in but haven't fully entered yet. I downloaded dating apps again sometimes in February, not because I wanted to, more because I felt like I was supposed to still be trying. That's a strange thing nobody talks about. How exhausting it can be to continuously present yourself as emotionally available. You answer the same questions, repeat the same stories, pretend not to notice how quickly conversations dissolve. Pretend not to care when someone disappears after speaking to you every day for 2 weeks. You learn how to introduce yourself in emotionally efficient ways. Warm, but not intense, interesting but not complicated, open but not needy. After a while, it starts to feel less like connection and more like performance. One night, I was lying in bed scrolling through the conversations that all sounded almost identical. What do you do for fun? How was your day? You seem really sweet, like temporary intimacies, tiny emotional rentals. I stared at the screen until my eyes started hurting. Then I placed my phone face down beside me and looked at the ceiling for a long time. The room was dark except for the soft orange light from the street across my window. And suddenly I realized how tired I was of trying to remain emotionally appealing to strangers, tired of packaging softness carefully, tired of making myself easy to choose. I think I spent years believing love would finally relax something inside me. Like once I was chosen properly, I would stop feeling emotionally as uncertain all the time. So I kept adapting, even in small ways. I became agreeable quickly, easygoing, understanding. I learned how to minimize my needs before they became inconvenient. I learned how to laugh things off, how to seem emotionally low maintenance. And because I did it so naturally, people rarely noticed how much effort it took. There was a man I spoke to for almost 3 months last year. Nothing terrible happened between us, which somehow made the ending feel harder to explain. He was kind in inconsistent ways, attentive sometimes, distant over other times, enough warmth to keep hope alive, enough absence to keep me anxious. I remember sitting in my parked car after one of our dates, replaying the evening in my head like I was searching for clues. Did he seem distracted? Did I talk too much? Was I too quiet? Did I seem difficult somehow? Looking back now, I think the saddest part wasn't even the uncertainty itself. It was how quick I made his inconsistency about my adequacy. Like love was always an exam I could fail through incorrect emotional proportions, too much feelings, too little mystery, too available, too honest. After things faded between us, I barely cried. I mostly felt exhausted by how much of myself I had edited to trying to remain emotionally desirable. The first real shift happened quietly. Of course, it did. Not through some empowering breakthrough, not because I suddenly became deeply healed. I was just tired one weekend. I decided not to open my dating apps. That was all. Saturday passed slowly. I cleaned my apartment, changed my sheets, went to buy fruit from a nearby market, came home and cooked while listening to music through my phone speaker. Nothing extraordinary happened, but sometime that evening, while cutting vegetables in my kitchen, I noticed something unusual. My body felt calm, not excited, not distracted, not waiting, just calm. And the feeling confused me more than loneliness ever had, because I realized how emotionally noisy my life had become. Constant checking, constant anticipation, constant wondering if someone liked me enough yet. Without that noise, there was suddenly space, quiet space. At first, it almost felt empty. Then slowly it began feeling peaceful. Later that night, I sat cross-legged on my couch, eating alone while a movie played softly in the background. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like I was passing time until my real life started. I was just living. It sounds small now, but it didn't feel small then. A few days later, I was folding laundry when the realization finally arrived fully. Not dramatically though, just steady. The apartment was warm from the dryer. One of my socks was missing like always. A neighbor's music echoed faintly through the wall. Very ordinary things. And suddenly, I thought about how much of my emotional life had revolved around eventually being chosen. Not even necessarily loved deeply, chosen, validated, confirmed somehow. I thought about how often I shaped myself around imagined future relationships, how many decisions I filtered through future desirability, how often I treated singleness like a temporary condition instead of an actual human experience deserving presence. And underneath all of that was this painful truth I had never really touched directly before. I didn't fully believe my life could be enough while witnessed only by me. That realization sat heavily in my chest because I could suddenly see how much energy I had spent trying to remain emotionally acceptable, pretty enough, easy enough, soft enough, independent but not intimidating, vulnerable but not complicated. I had spent years emotionally auditioning, even when nobody was actively watching, and quietly over time, I disappeared inside all that performance. I stopped asking myself what kind of life actually felt nourishing to me. Everything became centered around eventual partnership, future intimacy, future arrival. Meanwhile, my actual life kept happening around me every day. Small, beautiful things I barely inhabited fully because I was emotionally leaning towards a future version of me I thought could matter more. I sat on the edge of my bed, holding a towel in my hand for a very long time after that. I was not crying. I was just grieving something difficult to name. Maybe the years I spent believing my life was waiting to begin. After that, I started noticing things differently. The mornings felt slower somehow, not lonely exactly, just quieter. I stopped reaching for my phone immediately after waking up. I stopped checking who viewed my stories, stopped rereading old conversations, trying to measure whether something could have gone differently. Some evenings, I still felt the ache of wanting companionship. That part didn't disappear. I would see couples working together at restaurants or hear friends talk about shared routines and feel that familiar softness in my chest. But the feeling changed slightly. It no longer felt like evidence that I was failing, just evidence that I was human. One Friday night, I made dinner for myself properly for the first time in months. Not something rushed, not survival food. I lit a candle near the sink while rice simmered quietly on the stove. The apartment smelled warm and comforting, and I remembered realizing how rarely I had treated my own presence like it deserved tenderness too. So much of my softness had always been reserved for other people, future people especially, people I hoped will eventually choose me carefully. Meanwhile, I moved through my own life with emotional postponement, always waiting. The strangest part was how uncomfortable peace felt initially. Without romantic uncertainty, my mind kept searching for something to anticipate, someone to impress, someone to hear from, someone to emotionally orbit around. I didn't realize how addicted I had become to emotional pursuits, not because it made me happy, but because it gave me my longing somewhere to go. Now, there were evenings when nobody texted me good night, nobody asked where I was, nobody flirted with me softly enough to keep hope alive for another week. And instead of collapsing from loneliness the way I thought I would, I actually rested. Like, I really rested. I read books halfway and left them open beside my bed. I watched rain gather against my windows. I took long showers without rushing afterwards to check my phone. I started buying flowers for my apartment sometimes. Small ones, nothing dramatic. Just enough to make the room feel inhabited intentionally. And slowly, I stopped explaining my singleness so much. Stopped laughing nervously when people asked questions. Stopped speaking about future marriage like it was the only thing that could eventually validate my adulthood. I think people noticed the shift because before I fully understood it myself, I became calmer, less emotionally urgent, like I had quietly stepped out of a race I never consciously agreed to join. That doesn't mean loneliness disappeared. Some nights still ache. Some Sundays still felt so quiet. There are still moments when I want someone beside me while grocery shopping or driving home or falling asleep. I still wonder sometimes what it would feel like to build a life alongside another person gently. But now those thoughts feel softer, less desperate, less tied to my worth, and maybe that's the real shift. Singleness stopped feeling like absence, it stopped feeling like a problem waiting to be solved. Instead, it became its own emotional rhythm, a slower one, a quieter one where I could actually hear myself think, one where my body no longer felt constantly braced for emotional uncertainty. I didn't realize how tired I had been from always anticipating romantic validation, always trying to become someone easier to choose. Now, when I come home at night, I unlock my apartment door and enter my life fully, not temporarily, not until fully. That difference feels small when spoken out loud, but internally it changed everything. Tonight, it's raining again. The windows are cracked open slightly and cool air kept moving the curtains beside my bed. My phone is charging across the room. I haven't checked it in over an hour. There's tea on my nightstand, slowly getting cold. Laundry folded neatly in the chair near the window. A quiet life. My quiet life. And maybe that's what surprises me most. Not that I learned how to enjoy being alone, more that I stopped treating my own life like background noise while waiting for love to arrive and make it meaningful. Because the truth is, my life was already happening in grocery shops, stores, in quiet kitchens, in traffic lights after work, in lonely weekends, in peaceful mornings, in all those ordinary moments I kept emotionally stepping past because I thought they only mattered if eventually witnessed by someone else too. I still believe in love. I still think tenderness matters. I still think companionship can be beautiful. But I don't think singleness is merely the space before that anymore. Sometimes it's a simple life, a real one, not paused, not lesser, not incomplete, just quieter. And tonight, laying here with the rain tapping softly against the windows, I think for the first time in a long while, I am actually inside my own life while it's happening. Thank you so much, guys, for staying to the end of this video. Do well to subscribe, turn on your notification bell, share, like, comment, anything that you want to do. Debate, I don't even care. Debate, yeah, and then please do come back and have a wonderful life, stranger, and just know that I care. Bye.